took me 4 years of binge eating to realize what I'm going to tell you in the next few minutes. My name is Niam. I lost 50 kilos, but then I started to binge eat aggressively. I was stuck in this painful cycle. I would binge, I would restrict, I would binge, I would restrict, and I didn't understand why it was happening. But over the last 12 months, I have broken free and I feel really in control of myself at the moment. And so in this video, I want to share the mindset that was holding me back and is probably holding you back, why you have this mindset, and the mindset change that you need to make so that you can take back control and you can stop binging and you can experience all the benefits that I've experienced. So the problem right now is that whenever you have a binge, whenever you have a period of overeating, you start overeating, and then the moment that happens, you feel like you failed. And because of that, you say to yourself, and these are the thoughts that will go through your head, oh, I've overeaten now, I'm just gonna make the most out of this day and get disciplined tomorrow. There was an experiment done in 1998 by a guy called Daniel Reed, and it was a very simple experiment. He went round to 200 employees in different workplaces, including banks, insurance companies, and the university. And he went round and he asked them a very, very simple question. He said, do you want an apple or a chocolate in a week? Now I'm going to explain why this relates to your binge eating habit in a second. 51% of people responded saying, next week when you come back round with the apple and the chocolate, I would like to choose the apple, and 49% picked the chocolate. And so Daniel Reed went back around in a week's time, but instead of just giving them what they chose, he asked them another question. He said, would you like to change your choice? And so if you pick the apple, would you like to change to a chocolate? And if you pick the chocolate, would you like to change to the apple? And what he found was that 74% of people that picked the apple changed to chocolate. Now this tells us a very, very interesting lesson about behavior and choices. Is that we will make the right choice for ourselves. We will make the harder choice for ourselves if we are going to bear that cost in the future. It's very easy for us in that moment to say, oh, we'll be disciplined tomorrow, because we don't have to bear the cost. We don't feel the cravings for tomorrow right now. And so we think and we idolize our future selves, and we promise ourselves that we are gonna not have a binge or we're not gonna overeat. And because we believe that we are gonna be this idealistic version of ourselves, we say that because we're gonna be disciplined tomorrow, we're gonna make the most out of it today because we've already failed. Now I'm gonna talk about the whole failure thing in a second, but the problem is that when we overeat now and we say we're gonna make the most out of it, but tomorrow we're gonna be disciplined, when tomorrow comes round, we aren't gonna be disciplined. Because when tomorrow comes round, we're gonna have the cravings that we have today. We are gonna have the impulses that we're gonna have today. We're gonna want to eat the food that we're eating right now, tomorrow, and when that comes around, we will make the wrong choice. And so in that moment, we have to do something different. We cannot continue the cycle of overeating right now, saying that we're gonna be disciplined tomorrow, and then when it gets tomorrow, doing the same thing again. Because we know from our past experiences, that mentality and that way of approaching our binges does not work at all. One of the things that you need to realize is that when you set the goal of becoming an intentional eater, you are trying to go from A to B. And A is you're stuck in this cycle of binging and restricting or constantly overeating. And B is being the person that you want to be, having control over what you're eating and not having the snacks, not stress eating, not eating impulsively, being able to not look to food for comfort. And the reason why it's difficult is because we have a ton of evidence that we are this person that constantly overeats. And the way that our identity works is that it basically is just a set of beliefs about who we are as a person. And these beliefs arise through the evidence that we've created throughout our lives. And so for me, when I was growing up, I used to use food for comfort. I would eat all the time when I was bored and probably when I was stressed at home without realizing it. And so because I reinforce this belief over time, then I create a ton of evidence through the belief, and it becomes this cycle where, because I believe that I'm someone that eats a lot, I then eat a lot, that reinforces that belief. And when we set a goal to change that, it is really difficult because we have to change our behavior so much. And we have to start creating evidence on the other side of the scale. And so when we start creating evidence on the other side of the scale, we might do all right for 1 or 2, 3 days. But because we are not acting in alignment with who we think we are currently, because of the current evidence that we have, we end up screwing up. And when we screw up, we view it as a failure. Because we are thinking to ourselves, oh my gosh, like what have I done wrong? Why can't I eat healthy like all the other people? Why can't I be a normal eater? I've told myself that I'm going to be a normal eater, but I haven't been able to stick to it. I'm a bad person. And we have this strong narrative that goes on. And when that happens and we think we're a failure, we say, tomorrow I'm going to be disciplined, I'm going to get back to it, but today I'm going to make the most out of it. But actually what you're doing in that situation is that you're reinforcing the cycle that is holding you back. Because you're viewing the old patterns creeping back as a failure and then making the most out of overeating and then restricting the next day, which might work for a few days but then won't work, you're actually just reinforcing the belief that you are someone that binging and restricts. And so you have to change the narrative when you fail. And the thing that I started doing, which has helped massively, and actually is probably one of the biggest reasons why I've transformed my eating habits and taken back control of what I put in my mouth, is because when the old patterns creep back and I do overeat slightly, I don't view it as a massive failure. I don't say to myself, oh, I need to make the most out of it. I've realized that the old patterns are always going to creep back. If I've grown up and I've had 21 years of constantly overeating, I ate more than my friends, it became part of my identity. In fact, I used to gloat to other people about how much I could eat. Then obviously that person inside of me, that desire to eat, those impulses are going to be there the whole time. But when it happens, I don't view myself as this person that has got loads wrong with me, which I used to do. And so I don't use that as a reason to throw in the towel. So when the old patterns creep back, when you don't live up to the idealistic version of yourself and you're at that crossroads and you're thinking to yourself, I can make the most out of today because I'm going to be disciplined tomorrow. At that point, you have a really, really important choice that you need to make. And that is when you can rewrite the story. That's when you can rewrite the narrative that you're telling yourself so that you actually can break free of this cycle. Now, if you were driving a car and you were going on your way to work and you were, I don't know, you hit a stone on the road. After you hit that stone on the road, you have a puncture and you have to stop. At that moment, you have a choice. You could say to yourself, hey, my car, I've punctured one tire. You know what, the car's not gonna work. I'm just gonna slash the other tires because I'm never gonna be able to drive it again anyway. Who does that? Of course you're not gonna do that, right? And so at that moment, what you would say to yourself is, I'm gonna go and fix this puncture. And then after I fixed it, I'm just gonna continue with my day and I'm not gonna think too much about it because these things happen, right? And so when you fail on your diet, when the old patterns creep back, you can say to yourself, hey, I've failed, I'm just gonna ruin all the tires and I'm gonna continue overeating until I feel uncomfortably sick. Because I'm gonna be disciplined tomorrow, so I may as well make the most out of today. I may as well ruin the rest of today, because tomorrow I'm gonna have to restrict. Or you could just fix the puncture and you could get on with your day as if not much happened. Because not much has happened. All that has happened is an old pattern has creeped back, which is completely normal. You see, when I first started dieting, I was incredibly rigid. I was incredibly disciplined. I was very, 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 very good at sticking to my calories. And I thought that the moment that I ended up cheating on the diet or going off plan, I remember it was at a 60th birthday party and there was loads of food available and I questioned in my head, I thought about having the cupcake 3 or 4 times, maybe probably even more, 10 times. And as soon as I allowed myself to have 1 cupcake, I had 4 because I felt like I'd fucked it. And that was the problem. At the time, I didn't know, but that was the start of the binge eating. That was the start of the eating disorder that crippled me for years. Because the narrative that I told myself when I had the cupcake was that I cheated, that I was a failure, that I couldn't stick to something, that I wasn't being disciplined, that I didn't have willpower. Having 1 cupcake led to 2, led to 3, led to 4, led to 5. It was like I was a starved kid in a candy shop. And the person that hosted that party, the 60th, she was my auntie, she said during the party, she was like, oh yeah, Niam really likes cupcakes, so I'm gonna pack him a few extra. And I was like, no, don't do that, don't do that. I do not want the cupcakes. but that's how many I ate. She identified as me as the person that liked the cupcakes at the end of the party. And so as soon as you notice the narrative of, I'll start again tomorrow because I want to make the most out of today, use that as the opportunity to rewrite the story in your head, to rewrite your thought pattern. Because when you notice it, that's when you can say to yourself, hang on a second, I'm just repeating the cycle again. Hang on a second, am I just BSing myself? Because I'm actually not going to be disciplined tomorrow. I might say that tomorrow I'm going to have the apple, but I'm actually going to want the chocolate. And so the only thing that I can do right now is change what I do right now. And that means not continuing the overeating. That means going for a walk. That means sitting down and closing my eyes and focusing on my breath and not thinking to myself that I'm a failure and labeling it, those behaviors, just the old patterns coming back. Because when you label it as the old patterns creeping back, that's when you have power over it, because you create separation from who you are and the old patterns that have creeped back. And that's when you can defeat them. That's when you can create your new self. The times when you create your new self is not when things are going well, that's when you're being disciplined. But the times where you actually create a new self is when you go off track and how you react to going off track. Because even when a normal person, now I was living in Bali, and when I was living in Bali, I became friends with a lot of people that were quite fitness orientated. They were very in shape. If you go there, you'll go to the gym and everyone has a six pack. All the girls have great bums, great physiques. It's a great place to go if you're interested in fitness. And what you'll find there is that the guys and the gals, they all struggle with the same eating things that we do. But when they do overeat, they don't view it as this massive failure, but they just get back on track. Or when they do have the dessert, when they said they weren't going to, they shrug it off. They don't deep it as much as we do. And so start to realize that you overeating a little bit is not the end of the world, and it's not a reason for you to then have a binge and massively fill yourself to the brim so that you feel sick. If you enjoyed this video, then check out this video where I share how you can stop stress eating for good.